Hello and welcome to the Service Ducks podcast. I am co-host James Downs.
And I'm Rush here, and we're here to chat about all things ServiceNow, everyday life as a ServiceNow consultant, new features, implementation successes, and perhaps more entertaining when it doesn't go quite so well. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Service Ducks. So, if you've been here before, you'll know the format. James, talk to us.
Hello.
What's new? What's new in your life? What have you been doing?
Well, it's been a few weeks for us. Someone decided
hasn't it?
to go on a vacation for a little while. How rude. My last few weeks, I guess, has not really been as fun as yours, but we'll hear about that in a minute. My last few weeks started off by being in a car accident.
Really?
Yeah. Completely not my fault, by the way. So I was absolutely stationary. Someone comes straight into me, and yet they do not accept any blame whatsoever.
Was this in a car park by any chance?
No, it was not. No. It was just me waiting for them to come around a corner before I can turn into my straight. So I was giving way, and they went straight into me. Cannot believe it.
They actually drove like head to head.
Head to head. Yep. Essentially, the driver's side bumper completely ruined.
Wow.
So it's in for repairs, and it has been for the last few weeks.
Anyone that's listening might be shouting at this, saying, "You haven't asked if he's okay. I can see he's okay." This is the
All
first
my limbs
time.
are here.
This is the first time I'm hearing of this accident. In fact.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
But do you know what though? If you were giving way, I don't think you're supposed to give way. I think it's the polite British thing to do is we give way and we say go.
Well,
but, you know, it's like
coming.
Like when you flash someone to say go ahead.
Yeah.
You're not actually supposed to do it, I don't think.
No, so it wasn't
nice
one
people.
of those. Because imagine if you were like turning right on the street and you're kind of, you can see a car coming. You don't just go. Do you know what I mean? You're just waiting for them to come past before you then turn in. Essentially, it was in that kind of scenario, but it was on a bend. So on the bend, I needed to turn into the right, but I needed to wait for them to come around the corner before I could go in.
Yeah.
And they just didn't see me. They didn't defrost their windows, and there's this push straight into the driver's side. I wish I had a dash cam. This is the learnings from this. I didn't have a dash cam, so I can't prove nothing.
No, I don't know. Have you got one now?
No, well, I need to. I've still got a courtesy car, so maybe I should get one for the courtesy car just in case.
Yeah, no, I haven't got one either. I did get bought one actually. It was a Christmas present. I gave it away. So I don't need one of them. But
yeah, until you do.
Yeah, touch wood. I haven't needed one yet. So what else was
well, in more positive news, obviously the stress that comes with that and the carnage of just working with insurers is a stress in itself. But on a more positive note, I'm starting to get into the YouTube world, a bit like a dear colleague of mine, the Service Nerd.
Oh, you're a YouTuber.
I am a YouTuber. I'm going to make millions.
Have you told your kids that yet?
No, although my daughter would be very excited to see me on the TV or something.
Do you know what? My son, who's only just turned 7, but they do it at school, don't they? Oh, what do your parents do? Yeah. In fact, when he was little, he told them I was a builder.
Okay.
For anyone listening, that's just not true, obviously. And quite recently, he's told them I'm not a YouTuber, but I think he said he does YouTube videos.
Okay, he's an internet personality. Very good. Okay, well, that's not too bad. That's quite exciting.
You just heard that. That's the door shutting. That's the downside of working from home when you get the dog that's 15 coming in and out every 5 seconds.
In and out. Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm venturing into the YouTube world, but a slightly different take on it. It's not just kind of like, tutorials and things like that. I kind of wanted to approach it like a kind of like Let's Plays. So if you've got any, favorite YouTubers out there who go through like episodes of working through like a game, it's going to be very similar to that. So you kind of take different scenarios. I kind of want to do it as a means of like something completely new to me as well. So for example, the playlist I'm putting together at the moment is to do with no code. So it's putting up a no code series.
So can I clarify? This is ServiceNow related. When we mean let's play, you're not
Yeah.
gonna like play with some Lego or get the Playmobil out.
it's just
Let's play with James.
Let's play Connects. Merger between Connects and ServiceNow. No.
Although I've got to be honest, that would be marginally more entertaining than any of my YouTube videos. Let's play.
Yeah.
Some Play-Doh.
Previously, I have got a little bit of history with YouTube in that I put out some like running videos, and I do have a passion for running, as we already know, both of us do.
We'll get onto that later.
So I am looking to see how I can merge the two together about tracking some information about my running in ServiceNow, and building up like a no-code app, that sort of thing. So yeah. Lots of ideas, and I guess watch this space, and we'll include a link.
You know what? If you were to get it done fast enough, you could enter this new Devies competition. Have you seen that?
I have seen that. I've only seen the notification on that on LinkedIn, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so anyone that hasn't seen it, it's on LinkedIn, Twitter, and probably other places I've not seen it. But it's around if you've created something cool or app, something in ServiceNow, you can enter it into a competition with the potential to get a trophy. I'm leaving out the fact that I think it was $4,000. Is it $4,000?
Oh, I didn't see the price.
Yeah, I think it was $4,000. Don't quote me on that. No one sue us. From ServiceNow and a trophy. I've got to be honest, I'd be more interested in the trophy, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But yeah, so if you've got anything sneaky that you want to showcase, I guess that's your forum. So yeah, get yourself get that done, and why don't you?
Is it in the small print that they have to nick your IP?
I don't know.
It's now owned by ServiceNow.
I did put a slight tongue-in-cheek comment on my reposting,
did you?
which was do check the TCs, T's and C's. Check with your ServiceNow account manager. Which is the answer to quite a bit. But anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, that's me.
Yes.
So let's hear about your last exciting few weeks.
I've got a plethora of things. Should we just make this about what I've been up to? Should we make the whole podcast about what I've been up to? In fact, actually, before I start, should we tell them what this episode's all about? And then, because then they might stick around. Otherwise, they're just going to listen to us.
They might even know that by the title. Yeah.
No, that's true, actually. Yeah, just read the title. No, we're going to talk about release highlights.
Yeah.
So, not necessarily what's in Utah. Yeah, this episode is not about let's explore the exciting thing that's in Utah. We'll have a little bit about that. But this is more about how do you, as a techie, or how do you have someone in ServiceNow find out what is coming up in the releases? You know, we've got all these different mediums that we can trawl through. What do you use for that, and what do we advise people to use? And that's what we'll be talking to in a minute. But enough about that boring stuff.
Yeah. Back to what they're here for.
Well, back to what I'm here for. So, right, first thing I want to mention, you'll notice I am standing up, and you'll notice that because we're on video. I am standing up. I have I converted over to a standing desk.
Incredibly
Now,
nice.
let me tell you. I've always wanted to do it, and I've got like a custom desk that I built, and it sounds fancy, but I built it years ago with floorboards, right? It's not fancy. So I just bought the frame. I bought an automated standing desk frame. I think it was only about 150 quid off Amazon or something like that.
Bargain.
Cheap thing.
Yeah.
And I literally took the top off that I'd already made, plunked it on top. Boom. I'm standing. But I will tell you, it's not what you think. You think you're going to stand there improving your posture. No, it's not the case. It just allows you to kind of be in more contorted positions throughout the day. And I have to be honest, am I standing up for my stand-ups in the morning? Yes. It's quite nice, actually. It kind of wakes you up, keeps you alert. So I'm a convert. Yeah, well, we'll go with that. And I would recommend you do the same.
Yeah. Because a lot of organisations kind of recommend getting up, going for a walk every now and again, and stretching your joints and whatever else.
Are you saying that if anyone's listening and wants a standing desk, maybe speak to your HR department and see if you can get one for like health and safety reasons if you work from home?
100%. I think that should be something. From this remote kind of like world, I think companies should, offer that, or at least offer to pay your expenses.
That's
It's a
very
big
true,
part
though,
of
isn't
it,
it?
isn't
It's
it?
like
Yeah.
when you work in an office, you have to have those health and safety assessments, don't you?
Yes.
Are you sitting
Yeah.
in the right position? Is your hand close enough to the coffee machine? All that rubbish.
Yeah.
You should probably have one at home as well. No, I'm not sitting in the position. I want a standing desk. Don't send your HR department or health team to us. Anyway, it's
Not
worth
to us,
asking.
no.
It's worth asking.
100% worth asking. Yep.
The other thing that I've been up to is, I've just been on vacation and I have been on my first ever trip to the US. I'd never been before.
Really? Wow. I didn't know it was your
I've
first trip to the US as well.
Never been. Do you know what? I've never been on a long haul flight. This is my first long haul flight.
With kids.
With kids.
Nice.
And it's my first trip to the US, and we chose to go to Disney World. It is Disney World in Florida. So some people argue that's not proper US. Well, it is to me, right? It'll do. There's people that speak American. That to me, that's the US, right? I've got to say, it's bloody knackering. Absolutely shattering.
You get your steps in, I hear, on that.
Do you know what? We only did the Disney parks. We didn't do the other things like Universal or whatever.
Yeah.
Other theme parks are available. But I think we did it for 10 days. And after day 7, I remember saying to my wife, please make it stop. not because I wasn't enjoying it. It's just because it was just relentless. To get on rides, you have to get up so early to avoid the queues, right?
Yeah.
And I'm always an early riser. I'm always an early bird. I'd rather get somewhere early rather than late and miss out, right? So we were there for this thing called rope drop, which meant then we got on the rides at the right time. It was just shattering.
Yeah. I mean, how did the kids last in the queues unless you had to kind of fast pass?
They were fantastic. We didn't do any of this lightning lane or fast pass.
Oh, you
stuff.
didn't? Oh, okay. 'Cause
Nope.
I think that's the way I'd go, to be honest.
No. Because we stayed on site. You got into the parks an hour earlier than the general public, the minions, let's call them.
Yeah.
So
Paupers. Yeah.
you get in an hour early, which means you get to go and do all the good stuff first. But there's still masses of queues. But do you know what? I actually reckon we did everything you would want to do in the Disney parks. And I reckon the maximum we queued for was 40 minutes in one queue. Everything else was less than 40 minutes, easily.
That's not bad. That's not bad. I don't know if that's time of year, but from what I hear, hours, yeah.
It was. We were naughty. We took them out of school a week before half term, and I'll just take the fine. In the UK, we get fined for taking kids out of school for some reason.
Yeah.
But it's a lot cheaper
with hindsight, then, would you go for a week rather than 10 days? Would you go a shorter time period?
No.
Yeah. At one point, you're like, this is enough.
No, I wouldn't. But you know what I would do is I'd probably have, because we had times by the pool, because we were in the resort, so you still got a pool or whatever. And don't get me wrong, it's still like, one day, a couple of days, it was 30 degrees, so it's still hot. But I'd probably split it up with a couple of days by the pool.
Yeah.
Rather than like an afternoon by the pool, I'd say let's do a day of mooching about and then sit by the pool for a few hours.
Yeah, nice.
So I think I'd do that. So I have no regrets at all, but it is full on. It's tiring, but it is fantastic. And do you know what else I was amazed by? And my God, we're running into time here, but who cares? Our podcast, we can do what we like. One of the things that really struck me, and this is how nerdy I get, right, is from the minute you're in your apartment, you've got your apartment in one of the plethora of hotels, and this place is huge. You can walk to the bus stop. You can sit on the bus. You can go to a shopping mall, right? At least I think it's a shopping mall. I'd always wanted to go to an American shopping mall.
Yeah.
You can sit on the Skyliner, this thingy that goes in the air.
Oh, yeah, like a monorail sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, and you got monorail as well, so you can sit on the monorail. You can go into the parks. You can wander about. You can go for dinner. You can go for lunch, right? Yeah. And there's only very, very, very limited and sometimes go unnoticed times when you do not have free Wi-Fi. Right? So, and I'm bigging this up quite a bit because I think it's amazing. You've got free Wi-Fi everywhere, which works. It's not like dial-up kind of, it's rubbish.
Yep.
But to add to that, and this is how nerdy I am, I did not see one Wi-Fi router at all throughout my whole journey there. And I was actively looking for them. Because it was annoying me.
So, Daddy, there's Mickey Mouse. No. Let's just keep looking for this.
I guess it adds. It for me, it adds to the magic of how world class they are. It's like they'll go to the level of hiding these things so it doesn't spoil the whole magic.
Yeah, the whole allure.
Disney.
Very nice.
But there you go. So yeah. So that's my key takeaway from Disney.
That's it.
There are no Wi-Fi routers. There we go. Right.
So you've come back all refreshed, all ready for the Utah release. It's
correct.
It's new. You're back to join all the lovely sessions and stuff that they kind of give to talk to us about.
That's it.
All the new stuff coming up.
I'm like a new instance. Aren't I? Freshly Z boosted. That's just woken up, pinged into life. And you're right, actually. So, when I was away, I was seeing lots of noise around Utah, what's coming out in Utah. And just before I went, they had the initial webinar.
Yeah.
They call them webinars anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Initial chat, which is more of a dev chat by the likes of Chuck and Lauren around what's coming up with the Utah release. Yeah. So I know a few of us sat there, and that was more orientated around devs, wasn't it, in terms of what's the sneaky platform features, which was useful. But this is really about how do you keep abreast of what's coming up. What do you do? Why did you snigger then?
I don't know.
Why did you snigger? I know why you sniggered. You like
Why did you use that word? Okay. How do you keep up to date?
You're like a teenage boy.
I know.
It's quite funny.
I am.
Right. So just for that, I'm going to throw it over to you. So how do you keep up to date with what's coming out? So you can mention some Utah stuff, but how do you keep up to date with releases? Because they're every 6 months, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. They come thick and fast, and by the time you know it, another one is here and ready, and you think that you're only just getting to grips with Tokyo, and then Utah is then released. It's so thick and fast, and ServiceNow is so massive. It is absolutely impossible to keep up to date with everything. So for me personally, I think it depends who you are generally and what you're looking to get out of the kind of content, because you could be a partner developer where it's good to be on top of things and attend all the kind of public webinars. As a partner, you're lucky enough to be introduced to what's called peak sessions, which is partner enablement and knowledge sessions.
You had to look that up before this call, didn't you?
Absolutely, I have no idea what it stood for. I thought it was sneak peek. So no, that is very useful to obviously just get a bit more information ahead of time from ServiceNow to be ahead of the game, which is always useful.
Okay, so let me pause there for a sec, right? So that's if you're. So it's interesting that you chose the sentence there. If you're a partner developer, which leads me on to. I guess there are different ways of looking at what's in releases depending on what role you have, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Is that where you were going with that?
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
What I took by that sentence is that you've got, obviously, if you're a partner or if you're a customer, and then what roles do you perform within those environments determines on what you're interested in, right? Is that probably the case?
Absolutely, okay. Yeah. If you're a partner, it may well be that you need to have a bit more of a broader skill set, and you may need to know the core sort of information as well as the your kind of SME type product areas or domains.
Okay.
Whereas if you are somebody else, like maybe just a administrator or someone like that, maybe just the public webinars are enough to just give you a certain
idea. Can I just
idea.
suggest, don't say just an administrator. Let's not alienate some people.
If you're a mere...
Yeah, no, administrators are crucial. Business.
They're crucial
to backtrack.
to everything fitting together, yeah.
Okay.
They need to keep abreast of the situation.
You can't use it twice. You can't.
Is that the rule?
Yeah, that's the rule.
Okay.
But no, come on.
Okay. Yes. So it may well be that they only want to look at the areas that they're licensed for. But equally, they could have a genuine interest in a certain area that could be useful for their organisation going forward. So it really depends on their own individual situation.
Yeah. Okay. So coming into let's concentrate on the kind of I don't want to say partner, but that kind of technical ecosystem. Yeah. What do you do as an architect? What do you do to keep up to date with the latest release notes?
Which was essentially your first question, wasn't it? And I went off on a tangent. But yes, to bring us back to it, what I personally do is I read the docs. The docs is one of the first things that comes out, I believe, for any new version. You start to see information on the docs site.
Okay, so how do you get that then? Right? Do you just randomly wake up one morning and go, I'm going to go and search for docs that I didn't know were there? What do you do?
No, typically you hear about these things, and I think for me, you hear them from LinkedIn. Seems to be the biggest place about news and things happening. You'll hear. You already mentioned them, Lauren and Chuck. Typically, these kind of big MVP people who know things are coming in and happening. That's where I hear my first news, rather than from ServiceNow directly. Yeah,
that's really interesting, because a few years ago, you would have, if you're a customer, I believe you will get the emails through, or your account manager is going to tell you, hey, we've got a new release coming up. You might want to go and check some stuff out, or go to some of these summits and meetings and find out what's coming up.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is a few years ago, you as a technical person working in a partner environment, you would almost rely on your seniors to say, hey, we've got the new release. Let's do... Yeah, you used to rely on your seniors to pull together some kind of meeting or working group where you go through, this is what's coming in this release. I think that's... I don't know, maybe because I'm a contractor at the minute, I don't get that. So I have to actively seek it out for myself. I can no longer rely on someone telling me, right? I have to go and do it myself. And I think you're right. One of the things I've noticed is I'm relying on information from things like Twitter and LinkedIn, which I think is a sign of the times, isn't it? It's like we're more reliant on social media than we ever were before. Yeah. And I rely more on LinkedIn, Twitter. I mean, I found out about the whole webinar / release thing calendar from a Twitter that Lauren put out. A tweet that Lauren put out. And my slight gripe with that, right, is that it's fantastic, and I know the information's there, but it's all in CET time zone. Now we're in the UK, right? So we're in a different time zone. And I've already fed this back anyway, so I'm not saying anything that the likes of Chuck don't know. But my point being is that it's kind of a PDF that's been attached, right? And it links off to the docs site. I can go and read a blog post, and I can say, oh, great, this webinar's coming up on X day in CET time zone. Now what do I have to do? Exactly. I have to go to Google to go and figure out what time that... Do the conversion, in which case someone's asked me about some technical issue that they're having. Maybe I've had a meeting, the kids have come home from school, I've completely lost it, and then I figure out it's like 5 o'clock in the evening, and I think, well, do you know what? I've got other stuff to be doing at 5 o'clock. Yeah. So as much as I love my job, and I hope it comes across that I do, otherwise I wouldn't be doing things like podcasts, would I?
Exactly.
There comes a point where it needs to be quite easy to obtain information.
Yeah, I agree. And then, like you say, things get lost and you put it on the back burner and you're like, oh, I'll come back to that, or I'll, maybe I'll put it on my PDI and I'll figure it out for myself.
Yeah. So that's my little bit of rant about that. I wanted to get that in.
Yeah.
Anyway, and that's not taken away from what they're trying to do. Is actually trying to advertise it out there, which is what they've done. So it's brilliant that we've got places that we can go and webinars that we can. I dare say they're recorded, so we can look at them at another time.
Yeah.
How many videos do you watch that you save and go back to later that weren't related? Really?
Yeah, exactly. And if you have to rely on Twitter or LinkedIn to finding out about this information, then something may well be a bit awry.
Well, I don't really. Do you know what is different though for you than it is for me? Because you're a permie, right? In a large organisation, I'm a contractor, so I'm happy to rely on that information. One of the best sources of information I'm getting for what's coming up in releases is my LinkedIn feed. Is people like Justin Meadows that is doing a video almost on every little thing he comes across, right? Now I'm going to admit, and he'll probably moan at me for this, but I'm not watching every single one of those. Even if I'm looking at noticing the short description or the description, I'm like, right, I've got a flavour of what's in there, and I'll bank that in my head to come back to if I need to look at it later.
Yeah. It's, I've heard that they're doing that. Yeah. Spend a bit more time on it. Yeah.
And that's where I'm getting a lot of my information from, is the great content people are putting out on things like YouTube and LinkedIn, because it's always in my feed. It's something that I do naturally on a daily basis. Anyway, I haven't got to do anything additional for that information to come to me.
Absolutely. Easy to consume. That's definitely the way forward.
And I guess that's different for you, because being a permie, permie, does that translate well? Is that what they call them in? Being a permanent member of staff.
A permanent member of staff, yeah.
And a senior member of...
Yeah.
Can we do senior still?
Are we still alienating people?
Well, I don't know. But and a master architect. Let's drop that in. I'm assuming you've got to do some groundwork to find the information yourself to then educate others, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the base things about being a CMA is having that broad knowledge across all of the domains. You don't have to be, the be-all and end-all, having all the knowledge about everything, but, having just some kind of broad knowledge of what's coming up and what's going on, having that kind of, roadmap and understanding it is important, and then sharing that out with others. So if I'm not getting any kind of communication about this sort of information, that's definitely a problem. It may well be lost in emails and things like that, but I think it definitely could be something that is communicated better, which we'll obviously work on with ServiceNow themselves.
So do you do anything internally in your... Go on, I'll allow you to say who you work for. Go on then.
No, it's okay.
No, go on.
No, do you know what tends to happen? And I'll say what happens generally is we'll have like a general kind of like team chat. We actually call it the tech shed, where we just share news going on. Anyone can ask any questions. We just ask, to help each other out, sort of thing. And what tends to happen is someone will post something on there to say, oh, hey, this peak sessions are coming up, as a kind of like heads up sort of thing. You may want to consider joining them.
That's not someone's role to do that? That's just a collaborative...
No, it's just a collaborative, it's good to share.
Yep.
A lot of these guys would probably receive the same emails that I would from ServiceNow anyway.
Okay, and that's a good slight segue. You got a tech shed, which is an internal chat forum. But I guess we've got things like SN devs on Slack, haven't we?
Yep, true.
When I say we, I mean the whole ServiceNow technical community. Anyone can join that, and there'll be noise that's going on there as well. Now, I don't... Do I join? Yeah, I'm on that. I'm not actively on that. But I guess if I was, there'd be people doing the similar things, right?
Yeah.
And also
Discord
they've got
channels,
the Discord channel. So you've just made me think, actually, I'm on them. I'm not active. But I guess if you are on them and are active, there's going to be some chatter about it there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
That's okay. No, I mean, just coming back to the initial question again of what I do is once you've heard about all this kind of information and what's happening and it's coming out, again, have a little browse on docs, see what I'm interested in while you're waiting for the content to come out. But also immediately getting my PDI upgraded to Utah.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, get your PDI upgraded, and I think what's important with this is just having a play. Just have a play with it, see what's different, see what you can break, see what stuff is new, exciting. Giving it a go, you know.
But do you get a new PDI in conjunction with looking at things like release highlights? So, as well as looking at LinkedIn, Twitter, having general conversations, I think is part of the the tech shed you mentioned. Having general nerdy conversations. Oh, have you heard about this? And that's something I do. I know you and I have spoke about a couple of new features off the back of the first call, and I've spoke to some colleagues as well. But one of the other things I do, and I don't know whether it's just me, but if I'm looking for information now, I just go to Google. I don't necessarily go to the community site and then search. Yeah. I just go to Google because 9 times out of 10 it takes you to a community site page anyway, right? So if you just type in Utah release, you're going to get a plethora of pages like release notes, and then there's one that says release highlights.
Yeah.
So they are trying to break the release notes down to highlights. If I'm being brutally honest, if you look at it, it's still hurdy-wordy-dirty. There's still a lot of information. You still need to hone in. There's no way on earth you can look at the release highlights and read it top to bottom and go, oh, yeah, well, that makes sense. That's what they're doing with incident management. Oh, well, they're doing that. No. Yeah. It's just the platform is too vast. Yeah. Any one person to consume and make sense of everything that's going on. I think that feeds into another conversation I saw on LinkedIn, and I realise I'm waffling. But that feeds... I'm excited. But that feeds into another conversation I saw on LinkedIn the other day from Robert Federer, which is go wide or go deep. And I know him and other people have mentioned this in the past. Do you go wide on the platform or do you go deep? I think it lends itself to, if you go deep, that then gives you a focus when the releases comes out to say, well, right, I'm an ITOM specialist. I'm only going to focus on platform and ITOM stuff. Yeah, yeah. And that wasn't necessarily the case years and years ago, but it's definitely the case now.
Oh, 100%. This is where I was going with that kind of SME areas. You got your strengths.
Oh, sorry. Were you actually going there? Did I give you the answer?
No, it's because you just can't understand all these updates to do with all the domains. It's just not possible. But the expectation is there that you should know at least the core abilities. I think this is what's going to come from this is the base platform capabilities, as well as your own special areas. And it's okay to ask others who are the SMEs in them areas for advice.
I think
my takeaway.
I think from a lead, an architect point of view, I think not having a broad understanding, you're absolutely right. But also understanding, and you just touched on that key area there, is the platform changes, platform features. That allows you, when you're doing peer reviews, to say, hey, you've done that the old way. Have you seen this new funky way that they do it? Yeah. Start using that instead. And and I guess that comes back to, I know we had a conversation, very heated conversation the other week around to flow or not to flow. And it's the same thing when Flow Designer came out, which was the new release. You had to be aware of it from an architect point of view and decide, let's drive down that way, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's kind of the same thing. So what have we discovered? There's a myriad of different ways you can find out about what's in the releases. Yeah. We think that customers and partners have a slightly different approach to looking at what's coming in releases. And we know partners get early access and can get educated and help the customers to drive them towards what to look at and how to look at what's coming up. Yep. And that should be typically driven by a partner. We know, and the key takeaway for me, we know that there's different roles in ServiceNow, so each role will have a slightly different focus on what you need to look at, and perhaps that drives what medium you use to look at release highlights. Yeah. We know that we're in a modern world and that social media is absolutely playing a part of it to be kept abreast of the
even more so,
the information that's coming through. We know people like me that don't specifically work for partners have to take control and actively seek out that information rather than relying on other people. I'm not saying you do, But I know that was the case a few years ago. You would rely on someone else to tell you rather than actively
Yeah,
reach out and
100%.
get it. And I think that is going to become more and more important throughout this year with the whole Rise Up program. You've got a lot of clever people coming into the industry that have got that hunger and that are going to seek out the information.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point, actually.
And these are people that live on social media, so that is going to play a part. So if you are going to start a YouTube channel playing with Lego, James, you may as well do it now. So we know that information. So just to round things up, because I know we've talked a lot about my trip to Disney and waffled on about releases and stuff. Are there any highlights from Utah, from what you actually know about Utah? Are there any highlights that you'd pick out? Is there anything you're excited by? Am I putting you on the spot and you just haven't got a clue?
No, I have one. There was. I especially like a few things, a couple of things really. One, there is some additional stuff that's come out to do with, again, simplifying the likes of UI Builder. So I think we may have talked about that in the past, about building things in UI Builder as a citizen developer and no-code developer is quite tough. There's a lot of pro-codey bits to it. So there's a lot more features in there that will help no-code developers building the likes of portals. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that and having a go at that.
Okay.
But the other thing which is completely new to me, which is, and not new to this release, but RPA, and the fact that that's now available via your PDIs.
That is quite exciting.
That's pretty huge, and I think I may well do a YouTube series on that.
That is quite exciting, actually. So I know I've mentioned that before. I've been meaning to play with that for quite a while, but meaning to have a use case. And it frustrates me. And let me have another rant here.
Oh, here we go. Right, you're supposed to come back fresh from Disney.
No, I'm ranting. No, it does frustrate me that when you're looking on your PDI, certain things aren't available. And we all know ServiceNow is driving more towards this store app. So there's going to be, and this is another point, so there's potentially going to be less and less release notes, as it were, based on the versions, but you'll make that shift over to store apps. So there'll be less release notes based on the core platform, but because they're moving towards store apps more, you're going to have release notes on each of those store apps. Let's say you've got 20 installed, you're going to have 20 different release notes based on the store apps, which may come out at a different time. That is another podcast and another issue, but I think again that's going to become a bit more of a challenge in the next 18 months is my guess around that. I can't remember the point I was going to make before I had my rant. Anyway, that was my rant.
PDIs have not been able to.
PDIs, yes. I have heard some noise though that some PDIs haven't been available and people get a little bit frustrated. So anyway, let's hope that is sorted out. I think some of the things that I've picked out that I'm a bit excited by are like I've written down here. Actually, I've got notes. I've made notes.
Oh, you prepared? You prepared?
No, no, in fairness, RPA play on PDIs is one of the things I want to have a look at. Doc intelligence improvements is definitely one of the things I want to look at. Shout. I want to have a play. I'm a keen flow designer monger, so I want to have a look at some of the flow designer stuffs that they've put in. Some around the diagramming, flow diagramming. They put stages on there that I want to have a look at. You've got C-related flows. That's always bugged me. There's now an action on flows. Yeah, that's C-related flows. So the flows that are consuming that action.
Yeah, it's quite good.
Quite nice. Other than that, I need to get my head back in the game really, and start trawling through the different videos that are going up.
That's it. Using our own advice.
Well, exactly. I need to use our own advice.
So today we've learned all about how you can hear about the Utah releases. We've talked all about where you get your information. Your trip to Disney. Where you get your information depends on your role and what you're interested in. We talked about what you can do as devs to be proactive and getting up to speed. And yeah, it's been a good chat. It's been really interesting. It's a challenge that we all come.
Well, hang on. Interesting is debatable. We've also alienated administrators and general developers.
We have. So And we said abreast about 4 times.
Yeah. It's kind of taken a turn for the worse, hasn't it, this podcast? But anyway, if you have made it this far, congratulations. Medals will be in the post if you've made it this far. That's absolutely a lie, so please don't come after us if you don't get one. However, if you've stuck around, well done. And I guess it just remains us to say thanks for coming. Drop us a follow and all the other good stuff.
Share, subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe, and all the other good stuff.
Yep.
Until next time, I've been Russ.
I've been James.
And this is Service Ducks.
That's all for today's podcast. Thank you for listening, and if you want to get your question answered by the Service Ducks, get in touch through Talk to the Duck at service-ducks.com, or just use one of the links below.